Cool. So this is This Week in Wrestling, the NWC show, episode 80. I've told everybody on Saturday I was changing the names of the show. So here, got Steve, long-time friend of the show. Go support him. You put out great content, man, as always. I've been enjoying your stuff recently. And always, obviously. But you know what I mean? Like recently, you've really been putting it like just to be a bit of extra effort into the content. I think everybody in the wrestling community has recently as well. But if you... How you doing? I don't know how to start these. I always hate this, but
you do it just fine, man. And I appreciate the kind words as always. It's great to be back on, and yeah, like you say, the NWC show. Loving the change name and format and stuff. Really exciting going forward. It's great to be back talking pro wrestling with you again. And yeah, I mean, like you say, at the moment we've got so much that's been going on. There's been lots of reasons to create content, to share our feelings of everything, and obviously you've had a rant or two in your most recent videos, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, but. Weirdly enough, I mean, you always say that sometimes it takes me to come on here to get a rant out of me. I've even been a bit ranty of late. So, I mean, looks like today we could be a ranting tag team.
And me normally getting the rants out of you is going to make this like even better because it's just got to be great. But I want to kick off with, I know you've got a video coming out later today about Forbidden Door. I want to kick off with the pay-per-view. My thoughts are, this is a complete shit show. Completely wasted this. Could have built it for a year, made these people matter to the rest of the world. Nobody gives a shit who Okada is or Jay White, or because obviously he's stoating around the Impact, acting like that he's doing anything. You know my feelings on Impact, but it doesn't make any sense what they've done. The card itself has got 2 8-man tag matches, I think, a 6-man tag match, a 3-way tag match winner take all thing. It's got 2 4-way dance matches, which it doesn't make any sense, and it really feels like, and we moan at WWE, this is something I want to get your opinion on. We moan at WWE for that last minute booting of matches. They're doing the same thing with like Okada, who they've just randomly put in this 4-way match, and Tony Khan's expecting everybody to know how he's been in this feud with Jay White, or he's wrestled this guy. Nobody cares. Like, you need to tell people what's happening. That's what WWE does good. And this is just, and then apparently we're going to get a new debut, which is again another thing that they keep doing. But what's your feeling on it? I know you've got a video coming out. Don't need to go into it. Get the fans to go to your video. But what's your feeling on it, man? Do you think this is going to be good, or do you think this is just like hardcore fans getting their penises out and having a weird orgy thing?
Well, I did explain it like a little bit like that, because I did a video on the weekend. Was the problem with Forbidden Door, because there is some good stuff with Forbidden Door. On the night, it's going to be all right. But the thing is, though, that you could argue and say that the build to this has been forbidden. In the fact that, like you said, if WWE did this, we'd throw them under the bus. We've got to be fair. We've got to do it as well for AEW, because like they haven't done the best build here for this show. Is there some matches we're looking forward to? I mean, for me, yeah, there were about 3 or 4 matches I'm keen on. Random stuff being thrown together like that. A lot of it's been just thrown together last minute. Okada comes in on the show. Don't get me wrong, I did pop for the penny, but like you said, these people aren't getting video packages. We're not being told why they're important, why they're a big deal. And a lot of the feeling with this show is, I think a lot of people thought we were getting dream matches. We seem to be getting matches built around the storylines going in both companies. Now, I'm familiar with AEW storylines. I'm not familiar with New Japan's current storylines. When it comes to Wrestle Kingdom, of course I'll have a Butchers. I'll have a look in and go on. But that was January. We've just had Dominion. And outside of Dominion, outside of knowing what's going on with Jay White and Okada, mainly because I read about it, not through watching it, that's how I knew what was going on with that. And I mean, to be fair, with the rest of the stuff that's going on in New Japan, I wasn't aware who were the tag team champions. I knew Carl Anderson was the Never Open Weight, mainly because of the fact that he'd done a press conference afterwards. Same with Will Ospreay. But apart from like those little clips that I've seen, perhaps a hardcore wrestling fan is, and I think that's the issue with this show. Is not the fact that like will it be a good show on the night. I think there'll be some great wrestling. There's some great talent on show. I'm aware of a lot of the performers, not every single one, but a lot of them. And when it comes to feeling like, is it important? Should I care? Stuff like that matters. And what will I want to go and buy this show? Because that's what you're ultimately looking to do. It's a pay-per-view. It's not a weekly TV show. Who's going to cough up $50 this show without knowing half of what's going on. I don't think everybody knows everything on both sides. And I think that means that this show could have a dip when it comes to pay-per-view buy rates, because it's definitely had a dip in the ratings.
And they could have, for me, like, Will Ospreay against like an Orange Cassidy is just like Ospreay against Orange Cassidy. Like I was saying, it's just like why are we doing this? Like, this is a waste of time. Like a comic character against somebody who's apparently meant to be the best in the world, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like they could have built this for a year, put the time in, people could have been injured in that time, whatever. They could have really made this something huge, and like, I don't know, just like a WrestleMania feeling. Like they could have made this a WrestleMania feel. They could have worked on the name as well. Like they could have gave us a better name than Forbidden Door, which has got a lot of dirty connotations, but we won't go into the dirtiness of it. But it's just weird for me. Like you said, the wrestling's going to be good. There is some matches I'm looking forward to seeing. Am I going to go home and be like to like my partner and the kids and stuff? Oh, you need to watch this. No, I'm not going to go home and that's not going to get new fans in. This is for people like me and you that watch wrestling. But even at that, like you says, I don't watch New Japan religiously. I'm not going to go out my way to like fucking check out a Japanese show in a Japanese high school. I'm not interested in doing that. Like I always moan about people kidding on to watch the indies in France, like Camden. Like you're not watching. Nobody's watching ICW. Like the guys that work there are like, oh, it's on WWE Network in front of like however many millions of people. Like Camden, man, nobody's watching your Glaswegian show with OK Wrestling, and I know that's going to annoy people, but they're knowing it's so weird. It's like this show it shows where the problem is. Like there's this pure disconnect between where wrestling used to be when it was mainstream to where it is now. When it's like this like weird, like everybody has to be like know these obscure wrestlers that we're not watching on it. Like you have to go to YouTube and find out Will Ospreay matches. If you're not watching, he's not in mainstream wrestling, so you wouldn't know who he is. You would need to go find his matches on YouTube and stuff. And are people really going to be invested that much in it? I'd say no. And then moving on for that, is still moaning about AEW here. It's talking about their new title, what was it called? The All Atlantic. Half the countries on the Atlantic, it's on it. Like Japan doesn't touch the Atlantic Sea. China doesn't. What are they on the? Is Tony Khan got a wide reach in China? It doesn't make any sense. Like it's why not just call it? I don't know, something different. Like All Atlantic's just completely confusing for me. What's your feelings on it? Because I just shook my head and turned the YouTube clip off.
Well, for me, it's like there is like a way where you think yourself, there's too many titles. I don't think that there was a need of another championship or another singles championship at this point. True, you know, I feel that that sort of way, it's, you know, we have enough. But the TNT title's gone through the mud of late, and I think that providing what happens with the TV deal in a couple of years, if that doesn't work, so this could take over in time. But yeah, I mean, perhaps like you said, a global championship maybe could have been a better name. I don't know what they could have done with the name, but it's different. It's unique. I suppose it's their version of Intercontinental without copying WWE, so I'll give them that. But the need for it, I don't think is a necessity at this point. But it's also interesting the way they sort of built the match together as well, because it's a case of getting, you know, people on this Forbidden Door card. Like we've got 3 people from AEW, 1 from New Japan. We could have at least equaled it out to have 2 and 2. I felt maybe, but then I guess they want to have 1 representative from wherever they were going to have people involved in. But of course, we knew with a couple of them, they would not make it there anyway because of the New Japan rules that they won't deal with people with AAA or AAA, whatever they want to go with. So Penta couldn't even win his match to be there. Andrade can't be on this show. Andrade was meant to be the original opponent for Will Ospreay, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
I did, man, but he's no. There's no point in saying that's like saying like, oh, I was originally meant to be a millionaire, but I'm not. So it doesn't matter. Like this is something that is so confusing with no taking a hit at you, but like the wrestling community as well. You go on Twitter and it's people like, oh my god, it was meant to be this guy, and you're like, I don't really give a shit who it was meant to be. I'm going to watch him against Orange Cassidy. I'm not. So you make me even more disappointed. I don't get to see him against like somebody that I would like to see. But in the comments, we've got Silk saying, evening fellas, Jay White is facing Okada today. on the US New Japan show for the IWGP Championship. How can you have this match 3 days before another version of this?
Interesting.
That's just, again, see, this is the problem that I love AEW. I try and give them the benefit of doubt everywhere. I want to have wrestling be cool again, right? I just want it to have this like feeling like what we grew up with, like what we remember the coolness of wrestling, like the NWO coming out, DX, and then the Ruthless Aggression era when you've got Angle, Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, countless names, you know what I mean, just putting on cool matches. The indies back then were what we would normally see were like TNA and stuff like that from America, and they were just putting on X Division, just killing it. And then now you're just, AEW feels kind of just like they've lost their way a wee bit because they're trying to make a partnership with New Japan work. And then I'm just worried that this is going to be another failure. The Impact kind of thing that they had failed because AEW never done anything with them. And then is the AEW New Japan going to be another failure along the way? Like, these two companies came together and it's a failure. And also why would you, we're going to book this match, but New Japan guys aren't going to work with these type of guys? But it's like, why did you do it then? Why did you even think about it then? Like, just ask the question first before you start talking. But honestly, man, I could rant about this for weeks. Like, it's so shite the way they've built it. It doesn't make any sense. Thunder Rosa stuff, apparently she's hard to work with. And then on Twitter, she's like, took a loaf of bread to split bread with the person she was meant to be hard to work with. Was just the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. And you can just tell, like, somebody in the marketing or PR team have been like, oh, this will be a cool picture, because it was just awkward, man. But for Forbidden Door, what is, I know you're probably going to say it later in your video, but what's one match that you are like excited for?
See, I've got 3 or 4 I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to the mystery person. Look, I'm a sucker for mystery. That's an intrigue that will hook me in. So of course and Zack Sabre Jr. I think for me is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. Depending on who he's going to be going against, I think that we could get a fantastic match with that. I'm going to say a little bit opposite to you. I actually am looking forward to Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay, mainly because, and here's my reasoning for it, I think podcast with Will Ospreay, he wanted an AEW original talent, and he said he wanted the likes of like a Darby Allin and the Jungle Boy. He's not got those sort of guys, but Orange Cassidy is one of them, and I think that Will may look at that as a challenge of like, how can I get the best match out of the night with someone who is this style of character? I wonder if that's a thing, because for Will, I don't know, just judging from that interview that I watched, I think he looks at it and feels like he knows he's one of the best in the world, but like, anyone and do the stuff and have one of the top matches, but can I do it with someone like Orange Cassidy? And I wonder if that is something that's had his input. I don't know for sure, it's pure speculation, but that for me, that's where the intrigue comes, because you know that he's going to want to have a 5 interaction they had on Dynamite this past week was actually quite good.
I would totally disagree with you, man. I think it was a terrible interaction thing. I would say you could put him against like a Darby Allin as well. That would have been a cool, if you wanted to have a different match, try and prove yourself against an AEW talent, put Darby Allin in there, get those kind of weird moves get done, kind of polar opposites as well, whack Sting in there, do what you want to do with him, get this new guy over. But in the comments it says Silk again saying Tanahashi beating Moxley, because it could be a massive shock. That's my match of the night. I kind of wait to see that. It's one that I wanted to see coming into this, and I'm glad that it's there. The rest of the card, like the 8-man tag matches and stuff, and I know people are going to defend it and say it's because it's 2 different promotions. Well, don't work together if you don't want to get one guy going over the other. It's professional wrestling. It's no real. It's all fake. Sorry if I've upset people watching it, but it's a story. Relax. Like, just enjoy the show. I think if you're going to work together, work together. Like, it's like us on YouTube, you coming on my channel, working together. I come on your channel, and work together. It'd be like you coming on here and then going, okay, I'm not saying anything about than WWE, don't want to talk about them, no NWA, no Impact, I don't want to talk about anything, I'm just going to sit here. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's a team effort, and the show for me just feels that, honestly, see, if they built this team, even if till it was November or December or whatever, they could have made this show amazing. They could have held it somewhere international, like put it in Mexico or put it in Japan, if that's what Tony Khan wants to try and get the Japanese audience, which is dying out. They literally watch wrestling. I know tons of people that live in Japan. They'll watch wrestling like January time, and then they don't really watch it. The rest of like the rest of the world, we watch it for Wrestle Kingdom. Then we just get it's not really bothered with it. But for this show, I can't get into it, man. I'll pick up the matches. I might watch it. I think for us in Europe and stuff like that, it's only like $16, so $15.99 or something to get on Fight TV. So sorry, America. But I'm just, for me, man, it's just like the Bryan Danielson stuff, like Zack Sabre. I agree with you. I think he's fantastic. Is there a need for Bryan Danielson to be like, I'm going to announce a special guest? Can we not just have like something? I know the mystery stuff's cool, but that's what's starting to annoy me with AEW is that just you've got all these guys, like just let them have a match. But I don't know, man. I can't get into this. I'm struggling to get into this pay-per-view, and I know it'll be good, but there's too many tag matches, there's too many 4-way matches, and there'll be too many flips. There's going to be a ton of botches, and I'm probably not going to enjoy it. But hopefully I do. And then on Monday, I can be like, I enjoyed it. Because then next week, we've got Money in the Bank, which don't even talk about Money in the Bank yet. But man, so staying with AEW theme and the kind of terribleness of stuff that they're doing recently. The name that got released for a Dynamite coming up, Quake at the Lake.
I've not heard this.
Have you not heard this? No. Man,
no,
you need to look at this. It's Quake at the Lake is a Dynamite coming up because they're going to be next to a lake or something. I mean, I don't know, like Road Rager. Like, why is it called that? It's not a special event. Like, you didn't do anything special. Nothing really happened on it. Like, what's there? But Quake at the Lake, what's your thoughts on it, man?
I've heard better names. But yeah, I'm not sure about that one on first thoughts, really. Yeah,
it's kind of Great Balls of Fire-ish, isn't it? Like, just forget about it. But continuing with the moaning segment here is on to WWE now because they're there and they're an easy target. Roman and Brock again. We're getting the same match that we've had. How many times have Roman and Brock done something over the past 5 years? Like, it must be, 2 or 3 Manias, maybe? It must be quite a lot.
3
and
Manias,
then we've got
2 SummerSlams now. This will be the second SummerSlam. We had Crown Jewel last year. It was meant to have day one. Triple threats. So all in all, I'm going to guess around about 8 times in the last 6-7 years.
Man, it's too many, isn't it? Like and I know we're probably going to get that at the UK pay-per-view again. They'll do like let's have another rematch for it, and I'll pop for it when I'm there. But it's still like is there nobody else that we can do this with? It just shows like what I always moan about. WWE have completely failed to build anybody coming up. Like there's nobody there. They had Cody Rhodes and we're like, this guy's going to be next, and then they got injured, and it's just who knows what we're going to do now.
I don't know if I'm gone there for a second. I don't know if WWE just don't have the like desire to push new talent or like the faith in the talent and roster they have, because obviously they try pushing Cody now. We haven't got someone else that's ready. Let's hit the panic button, and look, it's the Brock button once again. Because it was supposed to be Randy Orton in the spot, but of course we're not getting Randy, we're getting Brock. So if my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle. So it's one of those scenarios. But I don't know. For me, I would prefer to have seen something else. Even if it was a triple threat match, a fatal 4-way again. Put Lashley in there, put Rollins in there. Something like that would have made it better for me, but it is what it is. We're going to have to sit through it again, aren't we? And I think it comes down to that's what they think casuals will buy tickets for, because they've got this big stadium where it's going to be in, and people have heard of Brock Lesnar. They've got another opportunity for another show where they must make other new talent get over on that show so they can have a chance of pushing them when it comes to the next big show for 6 months down the line.
Man, it's really wrestling for me across the board. It's really hard to watch at the minute. Like I'm really watching the stuff that I like the kind of old style stuff. I know you're watching 1999 WCW, which It's terrible but good as well. But I'm watching all the classic stuff. I'm going back watching Mid-South and stuff like that on the WWE Network, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying that side of wrestling. And I stole out of my cave, come to like the modern style wrestling. I'm like, what the fuck has happened between where has like this disconnect happened between wrestling that we remember? Like, no, wasn't it that long ago that we remember this good wrestling? Like, probably one of my favourite shows ever is two favourite shows is ECW One Night Stand, first one and the second one. It wasn't. That's not that long ago. It's nearly 20 years ago, so maybe it is a bit long ago. But like, it's just what has happened. Like, and it's not progressed that much. Like, there's no that much. There's more flips, but less story, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just fell apart for me at the minute. I'm really struggling, and that brings me to my next question because you're here, Steve. Impact, Slammiversary. I watched your video. As I said on Saturday, Impact has this great thing that I can sit and watch it, enjoy the show, and if you ask me what happened on that show, I can't tell you a thing. Like, I literally can't tell you who won the match, what happened on it, colour of the ropes, but I enjoyed it. Yellow, I think they were. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the show, and it was a lot of throwback stuff. The reverse battle royal stuff shouldn't have happened again. They done it before. Nobody liked it. There was no need to bring it back. But it was cool to see like the flashbacks, like kind of when TNA and Impact was good. And I don't know. I'm not going to go back to watching their weekly shows. It's just, I know you love Impact, but I just can't bring myself. What's your a sales pitch or like a 30-second elevator pitch of this is why you should watch Impact? Because I'm struggling to get into watching it. Like, it's even at Slammiversary, like there was a few moments in it and you're like, this is kind of shite. Like, I've seen this before. Like, I've saw this match or this like couple of moves together happen in this ring before. Like, it was really bad deja vu for some points of it, like when Shark Boy came out and stuff like that. But like, what's your 30-second elevator pitch? How would you sell it to somebody?
I mean, it's hard on the selling point because, I mean, obviously, you always say I love Impact. I wouldn't go as strong as that. Impact is like, it's a fun alternative to the big, come to be a sales pitch for me. If you want to find talent that's, you know, maybe stars of tomorrow, I think that's always a good place. You know, AEW, of those superstars in there today. You look at your AJ Styles, your Samoa Joes, you've seen, then they've got the likes of Bobby Roode that's come to WWE, obviously not pushed the same sometimes when they get there, but you know, Knockouts division, women's wrestling treated properly. X division is something that's, you know, all flips, you know, but it is good fun for what it is. It's a staple of what it is, and I mean, for me, like, fun factor. That's what I think a lot of the time when I watch it. I look at it and say it's more fun than maybe some. You look at WWE, for example. It's all serious. Everything's serious. They've took all the fun soaked. For me, they bring fun factor a lot of the time, but of course, you know, they also have got the high production value. Impact, I think, can just get away with more. They can go a bit wackier and a bit wonkier with some of their storylines and ideas, and sometimes it hits. It misses badly, but you got to take the good with the bad with every company. But yeah, I think overall, it's a company that's worth watching if you've got time, and I think that's the thing, is if you've got time for it.
Well, I think the X division, as much as I don't like the flippy stuff in wrestling, the X division has always been that staple of, because you've got your AJ Styles, your Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and that kind of stuff that came through that, and they were always fantastic. Like, it's always a fantastic kind of X division's like the kind of staple for Impact, TNA, whatever they're called. But I don't know, just recently, like you said, I'm sure in one video, or I was on your channel or here, you said that you loved Impact Wrestling. So I'm going to find that, clip it, and I'm going to put it everywhere. But Impact's, it's like one of those ones that you can watch, enjoy, and then walk away, and you don't know what you watched, but you know you had a good time. It's like watching a good movie or listening to a good song. It just takes your brain away for a wee bit, and then you come back and you're like, that was good. Don't really know what I watched, but It was all right. But
I can do that with every promotion.
In the comments, we've got, how do you watch Impact in the UK? But I legally stream it. I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble for saying that. I think you can get it on Impact Plus, can't you?
Impact Plus probably they've got like a subscribe thing on YouTube where you can become a member of Impact on there. And I believe as well you can find it on Fight TV and stuff like that. And on their website they have a lot of clips and stuff like that. So there's plenty of avenues and ways you can find it.
I think you can get it on Impact Plus for free as well, isn't it? Like if you stay up and watch it, you can get it for free.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think it's on UK TV somewhere as well, but I don't know the station that it's on.
No, I have no idea. Like again, I'm not going out my way to find it either.
No.
Mo also says MLW is fun. They're the second best promotion in my opinion, better than AEW. Man, they've got good guys in it. I've had guys that are champions in there on my podcast, which are MLW. Last year was my top promotion. It ranked above AEW and WWE. But the stuff that came out with like, how they were messing talent around recently, like the contracts and stuff like that, I'm like, like it's kind of similar vein of kind of what let Lucha Underground down, which I've been watching a lot of recently because I've really been enjoying that. But similar kind of vein of which letting MLW down. But moving on, Steve, we need to talk about it. Back from when we remember the guy Vince McMahon, what are you making of him coming out in SmackDown and Raw and just randomly saying random stuff after all the sexual allegations and the having to step down as CEO? He just kind of stoats out and says random stuff. Because if it was me, I would have him come out and start like being like just saying completely random stuff, like it wasn't Kane's fault what happened to Katie Vick, like from going back to the old days, just random stuff. But what are you making about it?
When you ask me questions like this, it's almost like asking me, how many times can you say the word allegedly in one sentence? It's pretty much how I'm going to take this. So we'll just take all the sexual allegation stuff to the side. It was all allegedly and all that kind of stuff. But just him coming out with all that kind of on his back. So obviously, like if all that kind of, you're going out just to do your job. You've had to step down as the CEO, and you're just walking out just to go welcome to SmackDown and walk away. What is it? Welcome to Raw, and you jump off like the second stair. Like what are you thinking about? Do you think it's weird? Do you think you should have took a little bit more time off, or do you think it's like a throwback to a Vince McMahon that we remember of? Doesn't matter what's going to happen. I'm going to turn up to work. It's a little bit of that last one. It's a little bit of how can you say that I'm still in charge without saying I'm still in charge? That's kind of how it comes across to me. It's like it's almost as if, in a personal opinion, that this stuff is not being taken seriously enough, in my opinion. And I think in other walks of work and life, if other people were going through that, the last thing they would do is throw themselves on television. And the thing is, the fact that you've done it for the ratings pop, that's something he would have done back in the day in the Attitude Era to get a rating, get a boost. They've done it with numerous things in the past. But, I mean, when it comes to this, if you're going to come back, at least say something of substance. I mean, it's a waste of time, isn't it? The thing is, though, like you said, that jump off the second stair really showed to me like it was as if like, almost was not a care in the world to anything that was going on. That's how it came across to me. But it has come with just stuff online, which I've absolutely found thoroughly entertaining.
Man, it's weird that the stuff that's online is fantastic. Like there was one that was like the TLC match at WrestleMania, and it's Vince jumping off the ladder on top of like Bubba Ray Dudley, and that honestly had me gone. But it is weird, isn't it? It's like all this stuff happening, and I've just, especially in the past that we know, like the Chris Benoit stuff, they've completely erased him from wrestling history, which is fine for what he done. Obviously, that's fine, but like we're pending this like huge allegation thing, and then it's like, you know what? Just put Vince on TV because who really cares? And it just shows like if it was like me or you at work, we would get sacked, we have to go sit at home, we'd be in jail, we need to wait for a court case. Vince is that rich. Like, I know I keep smiling, but it's a terrible situation, but like it's just shows the difference between like people like us, normal people, and somebody who's a multi-millionaire can just get away with anything. And it's that weird kind of. I think it was recently. It's like 5 law firms investigating Vince
Oh, right.
McMahon about,
Mm,
and then the stock market. The what's it called in America? SCE, isn't it? SEC, whatever it's called, are investigating because of high sell-offs and trades the day
mm.
before they announced it as well. So that's weird. Is this what's going to bring down WWE? I hope no, because there's nothing really else to watch. Like I know it's terrible, but at least we've got at least an okay pay-per-view every month. But coming on to back from guys that we remember, the Jeff Hardy stuff, that's just awkward. What's your opinion on, like, if you watch the video when he gets pulled over and stuff like that? Have you seen any of that kind of stuff, or you just kind of try to avoid it? And because the guy ruined my fandom when he done the thing with TNA with Sting when he went in the ring, and he was like they had to finish the match, and because he was no there, that just ruined my fandom for Jeff Hardy. And he's built it back, but then this has just been like, can he do anything? Like I can't support anybody. Anybody I start to like gets like some sort of like issue against them. But have you watched any the stuff on it? Read any of the stuff that's been kind of put out online?
I haven't. No, I know there are some videos that are going around on social media. I personally haven't watched them because it's bad enough that he's sort of gone through it. I don't think it should be stuff that should be visible for us to see personally. But I would say that I was hugely disappointed. About that. I felt the same as you at points. Obviously, addiction is a very tough thing. Thankfully, have not had to go through it in any way, shape, or form. But like you look and see, like with stuff with him, he's had some highs, had some lows, and I don't know. I remember going to. I mentioned a number of times before. I was at Survivor Series last year, and Jeff Hardy was in the final 2 of that Survivor Series match. And I, going into that show before going to the States, didn't really think much of it. I was like, Jeff Hardy's in it. He'll be eliminated within the first 5 minutes, whatever. And I remember him doing really well in the match. And I just felt myself him coming out as well, like that 15-year-old crept back inside, you know. And I was like, Jeff Hardy. Do you know what I mean? The guy that would jump off ladders at WrestleMania. And I was really into it. And the idea that he got to the final 2, I still knew he wasn't going to win, but I really... My stock of interest went up in Jeff Hardy just on that one performance and that one night. So the fact that he left WWE with all those circumstances within about a month after that, and then we've had everything that's gone on with AEW, and now it's a real roller coaster sort of few months with Jeff Hardy. And I just have to say, he was so adamant, he was clear and over it, and things that's been said in interviews and stuff. For then it to happen again, of course. Like I said, it's very difficult with addiction, but he needs all the help that he can get. And I do think AEW are taking the right course of action where he's suspended without pay. He's not going to be on TV until they deem he's good enough to be back on there. So fingers crossed he gets the help he needs, because by the looks of it, he does need it.
And definitely, like I said on Saturday as well, it's like the wrestling community, everybody's an armchair doctor. They know everything that's going on with people. They know... they always know somebody that's dealt with it. Like they always know somebody, and they don't really know what they're talking about. Like if you ever actually saw somebody deal with addiction, like Mo here's saying that there's a deeper reason why, which is generally true. That's what I was going to say. Is there's some where maybe like he's been told he's only got 4 years left to wrestle. Like he's not going to be able to wrestle after that because of how many concussions he's had. And then he's went to AEW, decided to do a couple of big moves. And it's just been like has to go get a brain scan because it's like you've caused too much CTE to your brain, or you're going to lose function. Like you never know what's going to happen. There's always like that deeper reason. And one thing that always makes me laugh is when you look at the wrestling community, and it's just like everybody's got. They're apparently everybody's doctors, but that's what online's like, and everybody's an entrepreneur, millionaire. They all have a Lamborghini, and they're a doctor on the side as well. So we must be doing something wrong, Steve. We don't have the Lamborghinis and the we don't have. We're no part-time doctors either. So, well, but I would say if anybody has addictions, go seek advice. Speak to family members. I've dealt with friends and family members that have had addiction, and it's a horrible thing to see. I've never dealt with it because I know I've got that addictive personality. It's hard enough to get me to pay attention to like anything, never mind get addicted to something. But like, go find help, go speak to a family member or a friend, or reach out to somebody. There is help there, and it could be that you're just in a position where you might need to get away with a wee bit, and there's charities out there that can help, especially in the UK and in Scotland. there's like getaway things. It isn't rehab. It's like go away to a hotel and spend some time in that. But going to a positive note, and it's a wee bit of a rant. The ratings for AEW. Let's just head back to we talked about the pop WWE tried to get with the ratings going up with Vince McMahon, which of course they would have. Everybody wants to know what's happening. The ratings for AEW have completely the arse has fell at the minute. Like it's nobody, and looking at that, it's like nobody's interested in this New Japan stuff, and it's horrible to see because it's like this show was doing good, it was getting better, it could have got better. Silly booking mistakes have ruined it. But what's your thoughts on like ratings, even the YouTube videos as well? Like I think the Brock Lesnar comeback one for SmackDown it's over 1 million, and Okada appearing, it was over 1 million in like 24 hours. Okada appearing is like 75,000, which I've watched it like 4 times. So, you know, I always say like you don't know on YouTube how many times people are watching it. But what's your thoughts on the ratings going down for AEW? Do you think it's that New Japan stuff, or do you think there's something else there?
It could be a number of issues. I do think the thing is, there's no getting around it. The New Japan relationship, as much as I said, it's going to be a fun show when you go around to watching it. The thing is that if you're not presenting this with video packages, showing the reasons why we need to care, there will be a lack of interest. The thing is like there are going to be AEW fans who don't follow anything else. Like there are people say it's a hardcore demographic. Everyone knows everything, everyone there. That's what AEW is. It's not. There is going to be a percentage of AEW fans that watch New Japan, and there'll be a percentage of New Japan fans that watch AEW. But it's not going to be the other way around. And if there are people who've seen loads of people on their TV screens they've never heard of, and think about this as well. If you are someone that has never watched New Japan, not heard of anything in your life, yeah, okay, if you do check out the show on Sunday, you're probably going to be in for a treat with some of the matches. But you see, well, else and they lose their first match on Rampage. How does that promote this other company in this rivalry? Like, I know Trent Beretta picked up the victory, and I think there is a reason for it long term, but still, like, Will Ospreay is one of the top wrestlers in the world. He shouldn't be in a losing effort. You're meant to show these people as a competitive nature, and I think that there is going to be a level of, you know, Tony Khan saying, like, no, my stars can't lose. It was the case with Impact. It was a one-sided, arguably, an Impact, you know. Tony Khan would go on there and bash Impact. He'd go on there and have his like top guy as their world champion for like 6 months. Couldn't be beaten. When he did lose the championship, it's to one of his own guys.
Something that I was thinking about is if it was a real forbidden door and they're open to work with anybody, would this have not been a perfect time to get like AEW and New Japan have say they have a type of ratings war or like a social media war or whatever it is, right? And then you get they sign a thing that like your guys can't wrestle in the same cities that our guys wrestle and you can't be on the same channels. Just something like silly, right? This doesn't matter. This is just the fluff to tell the story. But you get into the only place that these guys can really touch up is Impact. So you get a New Japan guy and an AEW guy that are on Impact in different matches, but like you see them in the back, kind of no interest in talking to each other, kind of that creating that kind of tribal warfare stuff. And then you've got Impact there, you're building it up. You're still keeping it as that kind of third lower end brand, but you're kind of building it up a little bit. And then you have matches and stuff there between AEW and New Japan guys, but then you build this for a year, let it just simmer and get ready to pop, because you could put people like Okada over to the world, Will Ospreay, Tanahashi, like these guys are stars, like they look like stars and they are stars in the ring. They're fantastic. You can put them over as hell, and you'd have people like Kenny Omega, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan all back by this time next year, and you would just have this insane story. You've got Impact getting built up and getting the benefits of having these guys on there as well. Maybe get some of the Impact guys that are their roster split. Some of them pick AEW, some of them pick New Japan, and then just put on this big show. But it just feels kind of like what you said about the AEW done the Impact. It was awkward, wasn't it? It was a wee bit like there was no need to treat them like that. They've been around a lot longer than you. You just treated them kind of shit. But I would have loved to have seen them do. There's so much you could do with the Japanese style. It's such a fantastic watch, and I know it does a lot of the flippy stuff that I don't like, but it's just a fantastic watch. And they're not bringing it over. Like it doesn't. It's no transcending well, and it is that kind of. It's only for fans that watch AEW, that'll watch anything they put out, and New Japan fans that watch AEW, because Japanese audiences are notoriously less likely to watch American shows because the timing difference is so shit. Just like here, we're notoriously not going to stay up to watch Forbidden Door because a lot of people don't know who most of these people are, and that takes us back to the start of AEW when the ratings weren't that great because nobody knew who anybody was. Nobody knew who Darby Allin, MJF, any of these guys was. Chris Jericho was the guy that people were interested in, but nobody knew who anybody else was till they made a name, and we're just kind of going backwards if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, and that's like you said there. It takes time to establish those characters, to get those people over, and for people to sort of become fandom. Because when you did tune into AEW, John Moxley, because you knew of him as Dean Ambrose, it was the Chris Jericho's. That's why it made perfect sense that Jericho was the first world champion. Now he's someone that's like the second or third match on your show maximum. He's not going to be his role. He's done his job. He's got other people over. Even if he's gone over to start off with to be the established one, he's helped carry that brand. Jericho's a big part of AEW's success, and now it goes over to the likes of the Hangmans, the Kenny Omegas. But that was the reason as well why CM Punk was now the point where he became world champion, because you mentioned about the ratings dropping. CM Punk was to give it that boost because they'd gone with the AEW guys so long. It needed another name that was more outsiders may have heard of and may have known about, which was why it was the right time for CM Punk to come in and win that world title. It's just a shame now that CM Punk is out injured for a while, but this is why it makes sense now for John Moxley to take the mantelpiece once again, because of the fact that he could be someone that can carry the brand until he comes back. But in my personal opinion, I mean, when you look at it, you mentioned there about Moxley and Tanahashi. It's another match I am looking forward to. It's 3 of the 4 matches, and that 4-way is the other one I'm looking forward to, because say what you want about the build of it, will be phenomenal between those 4 athletes because they're all fantastic in the ring. So, I mean, those are the 4 matches I'm particularly really looking forward to. But it's a case point scenario with AEW where they need to go back to doing what they do best, and they have got some really good storylines that they keep going through. I think the start of the Christian Cage and Jungle Boy one has been a long time coming. They probably could have pulled the trigger on this sooner, but now it's in flow. I thought Christian's work last night was good, even though it probably to some would have gone too far, but they certainly have give purpose to that story. To see where that will go next, and when they can go back to doing their other regular storylines they have. When MJF will come back into the fold, we'll have to wait and see how it will play a part.
I know you brought up Christian and Jungle Boy there, so I think it seems like a joke, like story-wise, like it doesn't. It just feels like they're throwing it together, like there's no real need for it. But last night changed my mind. Christian really put it over, like talking about his dad, talking about his mum, all that kind of stuff. Really put it over and gave meaning to it. Christian's really, obviously, he's there. He's like, I'm just here to take a paycheck, all that kind of stuff. I thought that was fantastic. It was really a good story in it. He's probably talking a wee bit for the heart, isn't he? You're just there to take a paycheck. Of course you're Christian. You can go wherever you want. But if you look at like the story, it's the Christian told the story all the way back last year. You cost me this. But they're not really told that story, like up until that point, till he said it. Like they've no, if you've watched Dynamite from last year to now, you'll get the story. That's fine. But somebody dropping in. That's what WWE does so good, is you can drop in and you know exactly what's happened because they always tell you the story, and that's the thing that Christian done last night, was tell people the whole story to get you excited for whenever they're going to tie up. Got that whole story. He's giving you. He cost me this chance last year. That's all he had to do. Like sometimes we just forget. Like the wee simple things that obviously WWE's simple stuff is pretty too simple into it. It's like what's happening here. It's too simple. But you can learn from both sides that they can do kind of different stuff. But talking about obviously Christian and Jungle Boy, where do you think it's going to go? Because I don't think that match is going to be good. I don't think we should be getting it. I think they could have done maybe something like last year when we saw Jungle Boy win. Nobody was really believing he was going to take the belt. But where do you think this is going to go? Do you think it's going to turn into a good match, a good little feud, or do you think it's just going to fizzle out and be forgotten?
Depends where it goes next, really. So in a way, the dad stuff could have been saved a bit later. For me, I think they did give a lot away very early. But I mean, it's going to be interesting. They'll probably have Luchasaurus stuff going on in the meantime with Christian Cage, and then that's where that will go along. I mean, that was the one part where I was like, "Where's this going?" But I guess they'll end up having a match at some point. But when Jungle goes back, he needs to sell this for a good few weeks. Steel chairs, we can have it where it was almost like at Full Gear last year, where that signified moment where Jungle Boy's using the steel chair and does the concerto to Christian to win that feud off. I think they will have a good match when it comes down to it, and I think it will take place at All Out.
Definitely, man. What do you think about the rumours with Triple H? And I've not wrote this down. I've just remembered that I knew Triple H coming back into NXT. So coming back there's rumours of him coming back there. Do you think that's going to change the style of the people that they're hiring away from those straight out of college Instagrammable athletes, and are going to bring wrestlers back? What do you think about that?
Sorry, I've lost you for the second there.
Sorry, man. So what do you think about Triple H coming back to NXT? So there's rumours saying that he's came back, and do you think it's going to change? We're going to get actual wrestlers back in NXT instead of from those Instagrammable athletes that we've got just now?
Okay. For me personally, looking at that, I would say that I think they're going to stick with what they currently know. I mean, the thing is, with these people we've got now, they were all probably in the Performance Center before anyway. So I'm sure that Triple H had a hand in a lot of those people coming in. It just the way they were brought to our screens and the characters that were given to them. Maybe that presentation may be slightly altered, but at the same time, I do feel like, I mean, for Triple H, it's kind of like when you say you go to work a season somewhere, say you go to do like a summer in Ibiza, and you go, "Oh, it was the best ever. I had a great time there." Take a break, you go back home for the winter, you go back next summer, and you go like, "It's not the same people, furniture around, they changed everything." I feel like it's going to be a bit like that for him. But at the same time, Trips is probably may make some more logical sense in some of the storylines. That would hopefully help, because you could argue NXT has been a bit like WCW 99, 2000, like in the last 12 months, even if I think they probably needed some. They need to meet in the middle. That's where I think's the thing. They've got more characters, which is good. They had good wrestling and like that sort of stuff that the NXT great before. They need to find a way to blend it. And if Triple H is back now, if they can find a way to connect the two things together, then I think you could be onto a winner.
Man, I think WWE don't want a winner in NXT. That's the thing that I think everybody's forgetting. They don't want that. That's what happened with the kind of black and gold kind of style stuff. I was losing its way a wee bit towards the end, but they don't want that to break out. There was a point when I would watch NXT over that. I'd watch a takeover over watching the main show. I'd wait a couple of days to watch the main show because takeover was so good. But it's just a weird, for me just now, I don't know if you feel this, but there's so many injuries in wrestling at the minute. There's so many like allegations and all that kind of stuff. Not saying that they're a bad thing, but there's so much, like there's just so much going on, and it's like there's no benefit from it. Like we're not getting great stories. We're not getting a good payoff at the end. Like we are getting good wrestling. Like that's fine. There's nothing wrong with the wrestling, but you're just kind of getting like the story, the lead up, the build up. Nothing really matters. It's if everything's just put together. Even in AEW, Impact's probably been, for me, the best build-up for Slammiversary. Obviously, it wasn't the greatest, but it's been fun, like we were saying. But like everything else just seems kind of, let's just put this together and hope for the best. Like Roman and Brock's been pulled back out, but Roman Reigns is taking most of the year off because he's obviously worked too hard coming out just to talk for four days a week. 4 days a month, and then doing a pay-per-view and a couple of house shows. He's done too much last year. He has to take the rest of the time off. But it's kind of like, where do we go? Wrestling feels so, for me, and I don't know if this is for you, feels quite stale at the minute. It feels like we're in those limbo periods, like that 2011 period. Then we had it again, 2013-14 period when it was kind of limbo-ish. That 2007-8, like. Yeah. Kind of feels like 1992-3 WWF, like the Doink the Clown stuff's going to start out, and you're just kind of like, why did I watch this? Like that's what I'm feeling for wrestling just now.
Yeah, I mean, I made the comparison of 2012 not long ago because obviously you look like the night after Mania at that point, Brock, that's when he came back to WWE, and obviously Cody came at Mania. Now, I know it's not the same thing, but Cody, they are going to push him as the top star now that he's come back. Obviously, you had remember Prince Albert returned as Tensai. Obviously, Elias, but Ezekiel. You know, we have like those sort of comparisons. CM Punk was world champion. He's technically world champion in another company. It felt very 2012 to me, but I can see where you're coming from. We are in a very weird period at the minute. I mean, I will say that for the first time in a long since coming back properly to YouTube has been the most lull period of uninspired like I felt to make content because there's not been enough to make me want to make it. You know, like I've actually felt like, should I make that or should I not? And it's like, if it's not a subject that you feel is good in your heads, then you sort of think, well, if I don't think it's anything, then other people aren't going to want to stick around and watch it either. So I have felt like there has been that pullback because of, like you said, the reason there's not been enough to inspire me. There was like when we first heard Crash of the Castle, first heard about Forbidden Door, but on the build and on the road to it, when we've gone in these companies, it hasn't quite hit the heights. And like you said, there's so many allegations and stuff going against so many people right now in wrestling. Yeah, arguably wrestling's going to have a bad name next to it. Like what happens now with this Vince stuff, that could shape the next decade in wrestling. Whether people will watch it, whether sponsors want to be involved, whether it's mainstream, whether it's indie, whatever, there's going to be a knock-on effect the whole way through. So we can't underestimate what that's going to lead to. And it just does feel at the minute like, you know, like you said, it's a lull period. It really is at the moment. And hopefully there will be something that will just spark it back off. Hopefully for AEW, it will be the Forbidden Door is a success at the end of the day. It was better than what we thought. Like, because the show, like we said in Ring, it'll be fine. But if the buy rate is better than what we expect, great for them. If they then go back on, can start building for like Fight for the Fallen, for Quake of the Lake or whatever it's going to be, whatever sort of silly names you got for shows, but then All Out coming out afterwards. We got slow to build saying that we usually All Out we will be hyped for, regardless, because it's seen as the AEW show. With WWE, we have got SummerSlam, we have got Clash at the Castle. Maybe Roman will drop those belts in the next couple of months because that's what it direly needs right now. It needs a change, a fresh person at the top of the card now. 2 years. It's now, for a long time, we all said we're not bored of Roman. I am now bored of it because Roman's not about. No Roman about. I need someone new then at the top and someone to be dignified. You are the one. You are the champion. Whether it's Seth cashing in, whether it's even Brock at this point, but I do think it'd be a waste if it was Brock. Drew should be the one. Seth should be the other for both of the sides of the card, in my opinion. But it's just a case of the scenario, like you said there. And you put it with Impact Wrestling. I put it with all of it. You can watch content right now and forget a day later what you've watched. I definitely do it with NXT. I definitely do it with Raw. I definitely, of every show, SmackDown is the hardest show to watch on TV right now. It is absolutely. This past week was different. This past week was the best that SmackDown's been for about probably the whole calendar year. It's been an awful show to watch SmackDown. But like overall, like that is what wrestling is at the moment. We're waiting for. We almost, it's like one of Vince's analogies. I'm waiting for the brass ring to grab that brass ring and then have something to pull me back in again.
It's just kind of like, so Silk said in the comments, it wouldn't be wrestling if it wasn't causing some sort of controversy. I think this controversy is a bit different compared to what we were used to getting back in like the Attitude Era. It just feels very stale. Everything feels stale. AEW, I know Mo said in the comments, what about AEW? AEW feels stale as well. We've pretty much bashed them this whole video, but they've like completely fumbled the ball with this introduction. They could have literally took the Japanese guys, shone a light on them, and let them run with it. Make New Japan a bigger company who will then appreciate you. But everybody in New Japan has ever worked with, WCW, WWF, Impact, back when it was TNA, it's never worked out. It's always been kind of like a shit storyline. It's not really, because you're not really that interested in it, because they never really put them over, because obviously New Japan's got their set style. It comes from MMA. They used to have professional wrestling and MMA shows mixed together. Used to have professional wrestlers facing MMA guys only like in 2000, 2001, like the Grand Prix for MMA, a big MMA Japanese guy. They used to have like Bash Rutten against a pro wrestler, which I'll send you the link for this. Stevie beats Bashrutin, I don't know if you know who he is. He's an insanely good Muay Thai fighter, kickboxer, but he done MMA and he beats the hell out of this pro wrestler because the pro wrestler goes in thinking like he's kind of like, oh, it's a pro wrestling match, but it's in an MMA style, and Bashrutin just ruins him. Like it's horrible to watch, but it's really interesting to see the difference between MMA and stuff like that as well. But I just think right now we're kind of like the MGF stuff. We had that kind of, oh, this looks cool. This is like this kind of crossing the line stuff. Nothing from it. Like whatever kind of comes from it. Obviously, if it's a work or no, whatever comes from it, it doesn't really make any sense what we're getting. But it's just like you said, for content wise, it's just I've got Undertaker. The question I asked you, who's better, Stone Cold or Undertaker? I've got that video sitting, and I'm going to release it. I was going to release it this week, but I've got you and then Mex on Saturday, so I was like, I'm going to wait till I've got a kind of less kind of content filled period. But it's really just you've got nothing that's grabbing me at the minute, and like you said as well, you're watching it and you're like, this is it. This is wrestling from what we remember: Austin, Rock, Taker, Kane, X-Pac, Billy Gunn, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Sting, and TNA and all that kind of stuff. We watching all of that till Baron Corbin versus Madcap Moss on a SmackDown for the 50th time. You're like, what the fuck? We've got a question from Silk saying, out of interest, would you say this will have a bigger impact on wrestling than the steroid trial did? Man, given the current climate of woke social justice culture in America and across the world, I'd say definitely. We get a internet frenzy. The steroid trial obviously was a huge effect in wrestling. I think this could be like 10 times bigger. Could be see the McMahons leave wrestling, which how would that happen? But like this could really cause wrestling to die. I think this could be the end of professional wrestling as we know it. I think it could change to something different, but this could be the end. And then the pressure looking over at MMA, you've got in the UK, you've got Cage Warriors, which does great pay-per-view buys all across the world. You've got Bellator, you've got UFC. UFC's dwindling a little bit, but they're making a ton there. You've got these allegations, you've got all the injuries, kind of all coming together. We could see wrestling just fall further into obscurity and just kind of just be left at the side and picked up by Amazon, Netflix, or somebody in the near future. That's what I think. I think this could be worse than the steroids. But what do you think, Steve?
It certainly has potential. Obviously, Vince got through the steroid trial. I mean, Vince has got through a lot over the years when he's been put his back against the wall. So we'll see what will happen with this as well. But at the same time, like you say, the repercussions could be huge. I mean, I wouldn't say that wrestling would die completely, but what I would say is that, yeah, I mean, it could be a case that, I mean, that who knows what will happen. And this is a case scenario. You said there, I believe earlier in the video, 5 other firms are looking into other things that have been going on. More things may or may not unravel. And if that happens as well, then that can be a case where more things will come out, cause more problems. So like you said, I never pictured a wrestling world without McMahon's involved. For the first time, it could be a possibility. And that is something that you would have never dreamed in a lifetime. So I don't know where it goes from here. But yeah, I do think you're right. This could be bigger than this. This is probably, along with that, is the biggest test that Vince has faced. And this possibly could be the biggest, because this might be the one that he may or may not, come out with the victory. It all depends what's the case scenario and what is proven at the end.
When I say like wrestling die, I mean like WWE, like that, like the wrestling that we remember could go. I don't think the company will leave, but it could just be, here's a catalogue, we're going to sell it to Disney, and you're going to put on a show once a month. The money's there, and that could happen, but it's a weird time in wrestling. It's a weird time for us content creators as well, because we rely on wrestling to create content, and it just feels kind of, what do we do? Like it's kind of, I don't know, like everything feels weird at the minute in wrestling. I think it's all kind of the allegations, the injuries, the stuff just seems to be happening. Like you said, SmackDown it's terrible to watch, and even Raw is a wee bit like, I hate Raw. Everybody knows I can't stand Raw, but just now you're like, wow, what's going on? Like, why is everything so like stale? Like, even like Dynamite, like I'm watching it. It's got good wrestling on it. Step up away from the computer, and that's it. I'm not going to remember it. I'm not going to go back and be like, oh, this story is really cool. I'm not going to remember it, what happened last year and these types of stuff. And it just feels that short-term booking or short-sightedness of what about if this wrestler gets injured. I feel like back in the day it would be like Undertaker versus Stone Cold. But if Undertaker gets injured, we can slip The Rock in there because Taker can go away. Or if Austin gets injured, we can put the other way around. And it's just weird. But I think it's a weird period. But when that's kind of the end of the questions that I had. Just try to check. Aye, that's it. That's just had a good rant. Man, promote your stuff. I know you've got a video coming out tonight, but promote your channel.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it as always. Thanks for having me on. SCW, the wrestling channel, is on YouTube now. Obviously, you've heard me moan a bit about Forbidden Door during this, but if you want to know my predictions for the show, then head on over. Be doing that 8 p.m. today. Be joined by WrestleMania UK Mex. Will be joining me for the predictions on that one. So, it should be a lot of fun. Be first time I've collaborated with him for quite a while, actually. So that's a reason to check out SCW in itself. But obviously, I've got a video coming out very soon. Like yourself, it's been a bit on the back burner. Life's been a bit too busy of late, but NWC is going to be involved in it. It's going to be what is the greatest Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. Everything is sort of pretty much nailed on together. It just needs to be released. So I'm hoping it'll be the end of this week, if not at the start of next week. But there is constant videos released on WWE, AEW, Impact, and more. So if you like some of my viewpoints in this video, maybe you might want to go and check over the channel there. I say some nice things a lot of the time, but sometimes I'll say some ranty things as well. It depends on the mood on the day that you catch me.
I would say that you've took the spot of one of the most positive creators in the wrestling community from Dan DWE. Remember from last year before he left? You took the spot of Dan's spot of being positive, unlike me, who's just an angry old man at how shit wrestling is at the minute. But if you like hearing me moan, subscribe to me. But definitely go check out Steve. Fantastic content. You're more consistent than what I'm normally training or running weird marathons, but you're more consistent than me. And I'm going to check out your video tonight. I've got Mex on this weekend when we're going to be doing This Week in Wrestling. We're going to be getting his viewpoint on quite a lot of these questions and probably be ranting about it. But thanks for being on, man. Go subscribe to Steve. His links will be in the comments below. And I'll end the live here.